I'm not sure what that is. We will thank you for bringing that to my attention, guys. We'll check that up. I know we were having some new products added to our store, and sometimes that results in transient glitches to the website. So what I would do is just encourage you to check back in a half an hour or so. And in the meantime, when I get done with the webinar here, I will follow up with that immediately. And if we're having problems, we'll get that resolved. We're pretty happy. We've been using Pair Networks for the hosting of our website. We've had some other companies host our website previously. Really bad experiences with that, but Pair has been pretty good. And by the way, no, they don't pay me to say that. We're happy with Pair as a host. But every now and then we do see this kind of thing. There's some sort of hiccups between MySQL, which I guess is the back-end database, and the presentation layer stuff. And we'll get that cleared up. So I apologize for the inconvenience, but I'm sure we'll get it fixed. Let's see, Glenda. Great. I will go listen to other. Linda says I will go listen to other webinars in the digital library. Ask for my interest, and of course I'll suggest links to my QA teammates. Thank you. You're quite welcome. Yeah, feel free to forward those far and wide. And these webinars happen monthly. It's really easy to sign up, as you guys all know. You just go out to the website and enter your information there. You can sign up for the newsletter, or you can sign up for the webinar directly from the website, and it's a real straightforward process. So we're happy to do these, and these will continue pretty much indefinitely. Let's see. So Tony asks, Rex, do you typically ask for or require some sort of sign-off from the functional side that the test cases derived from the use cases are acceptable? This is a great question. There are so many different approaches to this, Tony, that I've seen in working with clients around the world. I do think it makes sense for non-test people to participate in process of determining what to test. The question is whether we want to involve them in the process of determining how to test that. And so let me be sort of specific, right? There's a distinction sometimes made between test analysis, which is the determination of what to test, and test design, which is the determination of how to test it. And what we were looking at here was test design via use cases. Now, if you're doing risk-based testing, and again, for those of you who are not familiar with what I mean by risk-based testing, which can be different than what other people mean, I encourage you to spend some time on in the RBCS library and maybe read something I've got out there on risk-based testing. There's a case study and implementation of risk-based testing that'd be a good way to get started in it. But anyway, in risk-based testing, what you're going to do is you're going to have some of the key stakeholders, which would include what you're referring to here, Tony, is the functional side. These would be the user surrogates, customer representatives, and so forth, people who understand the business aspect of it. They're going to participate, and they're going to help identify the risk items. So risk items would be, and this is applicable to the example that we looked at here, the e-commerce, could be things like cannot complete a purchase, system accepts invalid address, payment or shipping information, resources not released after cart abandonment, right? Those would be the risks. And I would want the users to help me identify that. Now, the question of should they have to go through the process of reviewing these test cases? Well, yes, some of our clients do that. I think you should, if you're going to do that, I think you should do both, because I think if all you do is drag the stakeholders through a really detailed view of your testing, such as the test cases we saw here, I think you have a can't see the forest for the trees problem. In the sense that the level of detail is too much, and we've heard this from a number of clients that use that approach. Now, there can be perfectly good process reasons why people outside of the test team are involved in a review of test cases, and if those reasons exist in your organization, I'm certainly not saying don't do it, but I would say be careful of the level of detail. I mean, I think Logical test cases like the ones that we just saw, no problem. That's something that people ought to be able to review, right? Even non-testers, not necessarily onerous. Though again, if there's not a compelling reason, then people are going to probably be a little irked being asked to review it. You get down to things like very detailed concrete test cases. I think then you're going to have somewhat of a difficult time justifying that and getting people to be involved in that. So I'd say be careful with this one, Tony. Logical test cases like the ones that you saw in this presentation, I think if there's a reason, then fine. Have people review them and perhaps approve them if that's the culture in your company. But detailed test cases probably not, unless again there's just some sort of overwhelmingly compelling reason why you need to do that. And definitely, I would say, personally, focus on getting people outside of the test team involved in reviewing the what to test more than the how to test. And if that is confusing to you, I'd refer you to the RBCS library page, the articles that talk about risk-based testing, particularly the case study of implementing risk-based testing at Computer Associates. That give you a really good feel for what that process looks like. Okay, Vin asks, how can we use case testing to help with smart regression testing? That's actually a really interesting question. I got something like that via email prior to this, so I'm glad you brought that up. I mean, it kind of relates to acceptance testing too. Use cases are really good for acceptance testing because if they pass based on the use cases, the system is able to deliver the values that it's supposed to be able to deliver. And then for regression testing, I think saying that you're going to cover the use cases, there has to be at least one test per typical workflow and at least one test per exception workflow. I think that's an excellent coverage criteria for automated regression tests if you're trying to do that. If you can get to 100% use case coverage in your automated regression test, the system test level, then you really should have a very high degree of confidence that the system is working properly and delivering valuable things that it's supposed to deliver. So I think if you're looking at putting a regression test suite in place, use cases could be a very helpful part of how you do that automated regression test suite. Working with a client right now that they take kind of use cases. They're not as rigorously documented as what I showed you, but they're a form of use case which they then use a tool called RSpec, and then based on that, that's translated into some automated Selenium test cases, and I think that's a really good practice. So, I would say definitely, Vin, think about use cases as a powerful tool for you in terms of targeting your regression testing. A comment here from Christina saying, I'm in the digital libraries, no database issue for me, so it sounds like it's back up. Again, as I said, sometimes you get transient glitches with that MySQL database, yeah, usually it's just like try again in a couple minutes and it clears up. But if you do run into problems with that and they're sort of reproducible, you're seeing them often and frequently, or they become reproducible for some period of time, I would always appreciate emails from people saying, hey, I had this problem with the website. Well, we do test the website thoroughly every time we do a new major update to it. It's always possible for things to go wrong on the